I love making money online. There's no place like YouTube. Such an amazing platform. The thing I like most about making money online and working online is the hours that I put in, the time that I put in. There's breadcrumbs, so you can follow the trail. People get mad when I say I told you so. But what if I told you so? Terence Crawford, he may get skipped over. Errol Spence may get Sebastian-Fundora. But again, the beautiful thing is everything I've ever said about these fights and these fighters has been documented right here online. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Lots going on. Amazon Prime had their very first pay-per-view, and it was amazing. Top to bottom, I really enjoyed Kermel Moton, who was on the card. Brian Mendoza versus Boachuk, late replacement. Amazing fight. Crazy durability and heart by Mendoza. You had the fight with Martinez. Main event, Tim Tszyu, late replacement, Sebastian-Fundora, which we'll talk more about. And the co-main, the Stars Born, Esau Pitbull Cruz defeats Rolly Romero to become a champion via knockout. And he was dominant. Now, I want to talk about this whole Errol Spence Jr. thing. My thing is this. If you follow the channel, then everything that I've said has been documented, as I stated at the beginning of this video. So it's almost shocking that you have regular listeners of my channel, and when these ideas and when I'm proven right, basically, people act surprised. They act brand new, like, oh, where did this come from? I never would have saw this coming. But you've listened to my video and I've stated this, so how did you not see this coming? Because I clearly saw it coming. Now, what am I referring to? Main event, Tim Tszyu, Fundora, bloodbath type of fight. Both guys were kind of banged up, cuts, blood, really the whole nine, right? Fundora won the fight. Post-fight, Errol Spence Jr. hops in the ring, right? Errol Spence Jr., he comes in the ring and basically says he wants to challenge Fundora. Not only did he jump in the ring, he was interviewed. Fundora has 2 belts, as you guys see in this photo, the WBO and the WBC. Now, news broke that Terence Crawford was going to pursue Fundora, and he has every right to, because as a welterweight super champion with the WBO, right, he can, if he's moving up to a division, he can automatically petition, which he did do within the WBO. He can petition to fight the winner of Tszyu versus Fundora. But now we know who that winner is, and it's Errol Spence Jr. So let me show you guys Errol Spence Jr. I'm on his page right now. You see him all smiles. This is him post-fight, right? I think he bet on Fundora maybe winning, right? So he's all smiles. He says, I'm back, when the camera panned to him. His boy, rapper Yellow Beezy, sees the interaction between Fundora and Errol, and he says, y'all heard what bro said, let's get it on. And he's putting shark emojis. So this is a close confidant and friend and celebrity of Errol Spence Jr. And Errol says he wants to fight Fundora, right? Let's keep going. The same night, Errol Spence says, we going back to Dallas. We going back to Dallas, which many people believe that this was saying he's going to fight against Fundora. Now, I can't show you Terence Crawford's tweets because for some reason he blocked me, but I did see him. Someone sent them to me, and basically Crawford was saying, Errol, you need to get back in line. You lost. I beat you. You lost that fight. So as a result, go to the back of the bus. You know, you need to work your way back up. Errol Spence replies to that, I don't know, champ. I don't do lines. So he's saying straight right there, like, bump what you saying. I'm not going to the back of anything. So now you have what is called a Mexican standoff. You have Crawford, who's petitioning the WBO to fight the winner, which we now know is Sebastian-Fundora. You have Errol Spence, who is aligned with the right people, and he is a champion or ex-champion that did all the heavy lifting, and he's a big ticket seller, or bigger than Crawford, we'll say. You know, even despite the loss, comes from a big state, he's filled out venues, done the better pay-per-view numbers. He is off a nasty loss. He's petitioning for Fundora. Sebastian-Fundora's very own promoter, Samson Lukowicz, told you that Crawford may have to wait because business is business and we got to go where the money's at. And if the money is with Errol Spence Jr., the bigger name, despite Crawford winning, then that's what we're prepared to do, which creates a conflict within the WBO. But from my perspective, as I've been telling you, it's really not much of a conflict because at the end of the day, all he has to do is vacate the belt, right? So Crawford, you basically have Crawford who wants things his way, and you look like, you know, like PBC, they have this plan for what could happen next on their side. We'll see how it all plays out. I've predicted this very circumstance, and I've explained it to you time and time again. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I will prove it. I will prove it to you. But I seen this coming a mile away. Crawford thinks he's going to have his way, but to me, it seems a bit delusional, if you will, for Crawford to expect to become bigger than the business of boxing and overthrow the direction that PBC could be heading in, right? What do I mean? So Fundora has 2 belts. Even if he vacates 1 belt, he's still left with the WBC. I told you guys time and time again, the belts are becoming less and less relevant. I think a great example of this is last year we got Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. The fight took place at a catch weight. There was no belt because of the catch weight. There was no belt on the line, even the secondary belt at the time that Gervonta Davis had. Yet that fight outsold every fight in boxing, probably the UFC too, and it did a $20+ million live gate, one of I think 3 that PBC did that was 20 million plus, did great numbers financially, and it did over 1 million pay-per-view buys, right? So like I said, I stand on what I believe. That's not going to change. You don't have to watch my channel. I'll understand. But I don't see how Crawford believes that as a free agent, you do not want to necessarily commit to PBC. That's your option. But for me, I think the best bet, and I've always been vocal about this. Why are you willing to commit 10, 11 years of your life to Top Rank, but then you don't want to do business with Black Advisor Al Heyman and PBC other than like fight by fight basis maybe? And then it looks like Crawford is trying to go the WBO route and almost circumvent PBC, which I think is the wrong play. I personally think Crawford would have been better suited to call Al. I mean, obviously him and his team, his attorney or whoever, got in touch with Al Heyman to make the Errol Spence fight because he was a free agent, and build off that and be willing to do a multiple fight deal, potentially, 2-3 fights. And then PBC probably will rock with you and you build up that seniority. It's almost like going to a new job. You haven't even cleared your 90-day probation and you're wanting your preferred schedule. Meanwhile, the person that's been slaving away for 20 years at that job, 20 plus years, that has never missed a day of work, they have seniority, right? So yeah, they're going to get their vacation time approved, right? They're going to get the closer parking spot. They likely will make more money because of these things. It's nothing personal. It's always business. And I think that's the same thing with boxing. People don't want to admit this, but that's how the game goes. Boxing is a business. Canelo can lose to Dimitri Bivol, but he still is popular. And at the end of it, his fight with Jaime Munguia probably would do well, you know? So people, I guess they thought since Errol Spence lost so badly to Terence Crawford that it was over for him and he was going to have no options. But he said he's not retiring. Errol Spence said that. He still wants to make money. He still feels he has more left in the game. So his career has to continue. And it's funny to me and almost mind-boggling that people think the outsider / free agent, the black sheep, Terence Crawford, has a better chance of getting the Fundora fight. You know, we'll see. We'll see. Some say I could be wrong, but I could also be real right. And I predicted this after Leonard Ellerbe did a video, and Leonard Ellerbe pretty much said the same thing. He said if he were to guess, he believes that Errol Spence has a greater shot of getting a Fundora fight, or at that time, because it was before the fight took place, he said the Tim Tszyu versus Fundora winner. He believes Errol Spence has the greater chance of, you know, getting and landing that over Crawford. And he's like, it's kind of a no-brainer. Crawford, you know how that goes. Crawford is basically, he made it sound like not with the PBC, and Errol Spence is with the PBC. So again, it becomes a no-brainer.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I guess maybe on a kind of like a business position, like who would more likely get the fight between Errol and Crawford?
Who will get the fight?
Between the winner, I guess.
Errol Spence.
Okay.
And there's no knock on Crawford, but Errol Spence he's family. He has a relationship with the PBC and has had a relationship a number of years, and if I'm not mistaken, let me start with Terence.
So Leonard Ellerbe is telling you right then and there, he's like, Errol Spence. He even laughed at it. He said Errol Spence, like kind of a no-brainer. He's been with the PBC family. He got a relationship with Al and PBC. Fundora is a guy advised by Al Heyman and, you know, his team. Luis de Cuba, Tom Brown's putting on the shows. Like, what? How is this even a question?
Crawford is a beast. But I think he's let it be known that he's a free agent and he's not with the PBC. So, I mean, you know kind of how that goes. It's like.
So I guess.
He said, you know how that goes. So, you know, he let it be known he's not with the PBC. So, again, this is just basic arithmetic in my world. I understand boxing. I've been covering boxing. I understand the business of boxing. I make money in boxing. It is what it is. I see fans screaming, oh, this is, you know, this fake selective outrage. This is an outrage. How can Errol Spence get a title shot off of a loss? He was stopped. But then the guy he might get a title shot with, Fundora, got a title shot off of a loss where he was stopped. Oh my gosh. What are we talking about? Listen, they say I talk a little fast. If you listen real fast, I ain't got to slow down for you to catch up. You got people, it's like mental gymnastics. You got people complaining, like, how could Errol Spence off of a loss, how can he get a fight with a champion? Like basically a title shot, right? This is outrageous to them. But the guy that Crawford wants to fight, the guy that Errol Spence wants to fight, Sebastian Fundora, the 6'6", 6'7" phenom, he got his title opportunity with Tim Tszyu on a pay-per-view, and he got it coming directly off of a loss where he was knocked out by Brian Mendoza. This stuff happens in boxing if the business makes sense, if the situation permits. Lomachenko, wasn't he a guy who decided I wanted to fast track my career, yada, yada, yada? He said he was ready for the big leagues. He said he was ready for, the pros. He's a 2-time gold medalist, right? And the bottom line is Vasily Lomachenko lost his second fight to Orlando Salido, and then he fights Gary Russell Jr. for a title. What's the big difference? But again, old media, the usual suspects, the shapeshifters, they're only mad because they thought Errol Spence was done for. They're like, the big fish is drowned and stuff like that. And they're mad he's coming back resurrected and that he might hop in line. But again, the reason why he might hop in line before Crawford is affiliation. Like, this man, yes, he lost to Crawford. Yes, it was a bad loss. Yes, he was dropped multiple times. He was stopped. No one's disputing that. But he also did amazing things for the company up until that fight. Crawford, again, is a black sheep, an outsider who just did one fight with them. It's not somebody else's obligation to look after your career and make sure you get what you want when you don't fight for them. Top Rank, it's the same thing. Top Rank Boxing is not looking after fighters that aren't theirs to secure them fights. If Bob Arum and Top Rank can secure Vasyl Lomachenko a vacant title shot again with George Kambosos, another Top Rank fighter, a guy who has a co-promotional thing with Top Rank, that's the fight that's happening. Lomachenko, Kambosos, Devin Haney moved up, so the belt has been vacated. Lomachenko's fighting Kambosos. Shakur Stevenson, when Devin moved up, he fought Edwin De Los Santos, a PBC guy on ESPN, because they needed an opponent for Shakur, right? But they got the shot, and now Shakur is a champion. So it's the same thing. Bob Arum is looking after his fighters. Emmanuel Navarrete, same deal. He's going to move up in weight and challenge for whatever, WBO or WBA belt, one of them, right? And it's already been scripted. And the people that need to know in the sanctioning bodies, they've already been reached out to confirm this. This is business. Bob Arum runs a business. He's looking after people signed to his business. So I told you this. I predicted this. Crawford doesn't have an ally as a free agent. And he thinks he's like on this Canelo stature. I just don't see that working out well, right? Bob Arum even said this. And, as far as people crying like, oh, Errol getting a title shot, I gave you several examples of the Lomachenkos and Sebastian-Fundoras who have come off of losses or bad losses and they move on with their career. And if there's an opportunity, then they come and they get the opportunity. Another one that comes to mind, since we're speaking of Top Rank, is boom. You guys see it on the screen. Zab Judah in January 7th, 2006. See, you guys claim to know boxing, but you don't really know boxing. January 7th, 2006, Zab Judah, he lost a 12-round unanimous decision to Carlos Baldomir, right? It wasn't expected that he was going to lose, and they already had a Floyd Mayweather fight that was agreed upon and ready to go, but Zab ended up losing. So from January 7th, his loss to Baldomir, it didn't change in April 8th, 2006. So a few months later, that Top Rank put on Floyd Mayweather versus Zab Judah on pay-per-view. So as you guys can see, Floyd Mayweather versus Zab Judah, and you see the flyer, sworn enemies, Mayweather Judah, Saturday, April 8th, live on pay-per-view. Same situation. So, and it was a good fight. And Floyd, some people even say he got knocked down because his glove touched, right? So it was a good fight. It was a competitive fight. But then when we're talking about Sebastian-Fundora and Errol Spence, because he's coming off a loss, people are saying, oh no, Errol doesn't deserve it. This doesn't make sense. Okay, so Zab Judah was coming off a loss to Baldomir, and then they still put him on pay-per-view. So if you guys actually knew boxing and or knew what you were talking about, you would know these things. Floyd had a great fight. Top Rank put the fight on, and it was on pay-per-view. They could have easily said, oh no, Zab lost to Baltimore, so let's not make the fight, let's cancel it. But that's not what they did. And we got a classic that people still talk about to this day with Zab and Floyd, right? So this is not foreign to boxing. It may be foreign to you. And partly when you look at who Zab was affiliated with and who Floyd was affiliated with. And if it made and represented good business and they still felt strong about the numbers would be good and the ticket sales would be good, then yeah, there's a strong likelihood that the fight will commence and go forth. Same thing that's happening here, but people are like, oh, nobody wants to see that. Errol lost, he should retire. But at the end of the day, if Errol Spence does fight Fundora, I definitely believe that people are going to turn out. If it happens in Dallas at the Cowboys Stadium, you'll see. And then it'll represent good business. And it'll be a bigger fight than if Crawford fought. Because, first of all, Fundora's the champion. So he probably wouldn't go to Omaha. Because, like, why go to a place like Omaha, which is, you know, kind of smaller in general, to fight a guy like Crawford? That don't really make sense. The reason you would go to Texas is because Texas has probably one of the largest stadiums configured for boxing, where you could do upwards of 80, 90,000 people in the building, you know, 90,000 plus. So again, just like Sebastian Fundora's own promoter is telling you, it represents so much money, you'd be leaving a lot of money at the table. And then, you know, people want to play semantics and all of a sudden act noble. I mean, boxing fans are crazy, even content creators. We're talking about content creators who steal the fights and illegally watch them and stream them and advocate for people to stream and watch the fights and things like that. And then now they're talking about be noble and the best versus the best. We're talking about people who put out nonstop clickbait videos, right? With, you know, titles and just lie and cynical news like, oh, Gervonta Davis got arrested. And that's all they ever talk about is negative news with PBC, negative Gervonta Davis news. And now they're saying, oh, Crawford's the better fighter. He beat Errol. It should be the best versus the best. Now all of a sudden they have integrity. Now they live their lives with, you know, some kind of moral compass. It's so fake. Again, this is selective outrage. If Errol fights Fundora and he gets it because of the politics, I'm still going to watch it and I'm still going to cover it and people are still going to go see it. Errol still has a strong fan base despite the loss. People want to see how he looks. People want to see if he looks improved at the new division. Fundora's 6'6", so he's a big guy. He's a champion now, and people are going to want to see what that even looks like. Crawford, I told you, just like Bob Arum told you, he's not doing himself any favors. He seems pretty difficult to work with in general, and on top of being difficult to work with, he doesn't have any allies, so to speak, meaning he doesn't have an actual promoter. And he thinks he's going to get everything done without a promoter. Like, no one's representing you and you want to be independent. And then it's funny because the fans, they act like this is a good thing, right? They act like this is a good thing. Like, oh yeah, he just wants to be independent. I mean, there's people who want to wake up and they want $1 million in their account. You're not going to wake up and find $1 million mysteriously in your account if you didn't work for it. So it doesn't matter what you want. Is it sustainable? Is it going to be successful? Are you doing yourself any favors? The other very bad thing for Terence Crawford is he continues to fight one time a year and he's only getting older. He's 36 now. I know that he takes care of himself and he's in shape and things of that sort. That's cool. That's half the battle. But, you know, fighting infrequently, especially coming off a great performance, De La Hoya even said it. De La Hoya is like, you got to get in the public eye. You know, you coming off a great performance and you haven't really been in the spotlight. So you're almost like letting it wear off instead of like staying right there in front of him. So to me, I already explained to you the best case scenario. He should have signed with PBC. Did a multi-fight deal. You're not Canelo. You're not Floyd Mayweather. Canelo Alvarez can do that because he's Canelo. He has a country behind him. So he could do these one-off deals maybe with Eddie Hearn and DAZN, then go to PBC and bounce around. It seems like Crawford wants this ability and this freedom to move around in the same manner, but Canelo is Canelo. You haven't done the numbers. Bob Arum already told the world that you don't do these numbers. PBC did one fight with you, and it did not exceed the numbers that Tank and Ryan Garcia did. And their fight had 0 belts on the line, and your fight with Errol had all of the belts and was thought to be, you know, the new Hagler Hearns or Hagler Leonard type of fight. It didn't live up to that, and it didn't live up to the 1 million+ pay-per-views that you got from Gervonta Davis. So it's not like Bob Arum is lying about the Crawford is hard to work with, and I could have bought a house in Malibu and all this with the amount that I lost on Crawford, and Crawford doesn't seem to get it. And I could keep going on and on about this. I know what I'm saying is true. This is an article from Bob Arum. Bob Arum believes that Spence Crawford could have been made if Crawford had a promoter. So Bob Arum told you the problem, and everybody thought it was him hating on Crawford. Says Terence Crawford's ex-promoter, Bob Arum of Top Rank, believes that the Nebraska native's lack of a promoter is why negotiations for his fight with Errol Spence fell apart. And this is initially because he ended up fighting David Avocado. He says Crawford's lack of promoter. You guys see it on the screen, right? I understand Crawford is stubborn, but sometimes you have to have allies. Arum says if he was still Crawford's promoter, he would have sat with Spence's promoter, Al Heyman, and put together a deal. But given the fact that Terence Crawford doesn't have a promoter, you're seeing it on the screen, that failed to happen. So he's saying you're trying to get this done, and that's not the way the game is played. Further proof of this, here's another article. Crawford on changing boxing business. That eliminates a lot of things like promoters, managers. People are not going to like that. So again, Crawford believes that he is above the law, or because he is a great fighter, a skilled fighter, a technician, a switch hitter, that translates into you changing the complete DNA of how boxing is run. You're not that big. You're not big enough to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, that's like you have to be a Drake, a Beyonce, a Jay-Z, a Taylor Swift, to a Chris Brown, somebody, to change how, you know, Kanye West, to change how the record industry works. You can't be a Mortal Technique or like a smaller rapper, even if you're a good rapper, you know, Joel Ortiz or Crooked Eye, and then you think you're going to change the way the business is running by yourself. You know, your reach ain't long enough, Dunny. But Crawford, this is his mindset. He's trying to change the business of boxing and eliminate things like a promoter. And I don't see how that works. And then when you get skipped over, like, oh yeah, he deserves the fight, it's not fair. Bro, business isn't fair. Life isn't fair, right? So when you get looked over because you don't have the representation and you won't link up or click up, it's like prison. In prison, you got Mexicans, they click up with other Mexicans. You got blacks that click up with other blacks. It doesn't matter what individual gang you were from in your hood, like Blood, Crip. Typically in prison, the blacks link up, strength in numbers. You know, the whites and the Aryan, the ABs, they link up, Mexicans, so on and so forth. Asians, whatever. That's how it works. So for Crawford to believe that he's going to change the whole dichotomy of how boxing works, you know, we'll see. And like, you think you can circumvent PBC and like, hey, I'm just going to force the WBO's hand to get the fight instead, and then they got to mess with me. We'll see. We'll see if it plays off. But you heard what Leonard Ellerbe said. You heard what BOXINGEGO had to say. And now I'm going to let you listen to me predicting it before the Leonard Ellerbe interview, before Errol Spence jumped in the ring, before all of that, just to show you how great I am. I seen this coming a mile away. And then these dudes want to puff their chest up and go against BOXINGEGO and be like, oh, Ego, let me tell you something. Let me learn you something today. You can't learn me. You don't know nothing. You don't know what you talk. Man, where Roger Mayweather? Rest in peace. I miss Roger Mayweather. Bring him back. Bring Roger Mayweather back. He knew his stuff. Okay. The bottom line is maybe Crawford gets the winner. Maybe he don't. But it's very convenient that Errol Spence been radio silent and then he popped back out. He popped back out and he talked about he going to the fight and stuff like that. So Crawford might be out. He might be up Ish Creek. That's all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised. But that makes sense from a business perspective. Errol Spence, win, lose, or draw, he's been loyal to Al. He's been loyal to the PBC. He's done great gates and numbers for PBC, right? Why would he not get a good look and the option? Crawford just got here. Who are you? Like, you did one fight with PBC and won. Good job. And you notice Crawford ain't thank Al after he beat Errol Spence. They don't owe you nothing. Crawford don't really uplift the PBC brand. He be in the top ranked gym. He go to more top rank fights than he go to PBC fight. Go back to top rank. Why do y'all think that PBC owes anything to Crawford? You did good business. You made the Errol Spence, made history. Deuces. Like, what are we talking about? It's business. They don't owe him nothing. You're not doing business with it. Why we owe you anything? Oh, but it's the best first bet. Man, shut up. Y'all always see. This is what I hate about boxing fans, man. I really hate some of y'all. When I talk about the business of boxing and it makes sense, y'all say, oh, why you talking about business? I don't care. I just want to see Gervonta and Devin. I just want to see the fight. Who cares about the business ego? And then when it actually pertains, that's when I'm saying it. I bring up the business of boxing as it actually pertains. But then y'all say stuff like, oh, I don't care about none of that. I want to see Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney with no rehydration clauses and this and that and woo. Now you don't care about the business of boxing. But then to try to make Crawford's decision-making look right, now all of a sudden, y'all care about the business of boxing again. Y'all fake. Y'all two-faced. Harvey Dent. Y'all some fake fans. Fake. They don't want boxing ego. I'm bringing up the business of boxing when it makes sense, and only then. Then they say don't talk about the business of boxing. But then they try to reach, and then they talk about the business of boxing when it's convenient to them. Fake. Tell Crawford, get on your knees and pray. Get on your knees and thank Al Heyman and sign the PBC, and then they might give you some looks. What part of the game is it that you think that somebody like I'm trying to think of any example. Like, let's say you own a gym or 24-hour fitness franchise or something, right? And then this dude, he playing hoops and they playing for money, and he don't have a gym membership, but he come in every day to hoop and use your court. He don't have no gym fees, no gym dues, and he making money. He making money on your court by playing games, and his team is winning, and he don't have no gym membership. And you just letting him in the gym for free, and he getting cashed out from it. What? Why? Bro, why would the gym do that? Like, what is it? What's the benefit to the gym? They're letting you use their court. You're not paying to have it cleaned. You're not cleaning up after yourself. You're getting money from playing basketball. You're getting to work on your game. What's in it for them? That's my question to you. If you owned a gym and you knew somebody was playing basketball and he was a good player or whatever, and he was making money on the courts, but using your facility, but he's not paying no gym dues, then why are you going to keep letting him in? Not like, oh, you got a guest pass for a week or 2 weeks or something. Like, I'm talking about year long. He just think he going to come in your gym and work out and hoop and use your calf raise machine. Nah, bro, you got to pay some gym dues. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just business. That's how business works. Bro, you ain't coming. That's like a studio session. You a wannabe rapper, and we gonna let you use the studio and record your whole mixtape and use all the engineering services and give you beat. What do we get from this? From the free studio time? You ain't doing nothing. You better kick something our way. So that's the same thing with Crawford. Do something for PBC, they'll do something for you. And here's the weird thing about Crawford. This is why I said bad business, but is because he don't seem like he had a problem linking up with Bob Arum. And then you didn't even further your career in the way you like stardom wise, because you wouldn't have sued him if you felt that you became a star under Top Rank. Why would you sue him and say they was discriminating against you? You see what I'm saying? So now he want to be cautious and tread lightly and not sign, and he want to move like Canelo. That's a big mistake, because you're not Nello. You don't have a country behind you. You have Omaha behind you. How many people even live out there? Canelo has a whole country behind him, and he has a better resume. So, like, I mean, at the end of the day, and he's done 1 million. You listen, this is all fact, bro. That's that Ish Glorilla tried. I'm not familiar with her story, what she did, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with the situation with the Crawford. Hey, y'all got to get the likes up. Where we at? True or false? Crawford has never sold 1 million plus on pay-per-view. True or false? Is that true or false? Cap or fact? Terence Bud Crawford has never in one fight sold 1 million pay-per-view buys or more. True or false? Cap or fact? Okay, everyone's saying it's true. Everyone's saying it's fact. Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia can say they did it now because they fought each other and they did that number. And again, they're younger than Terence Crawford.